Let's go. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another week here at the RGM Experience podcast with me, Carl Maloney. How are you doing? You're on eight. If you're new to this podcast, if you're a Camens fan and you're tuning in for the first time, this podcast is basically all about delving into the grassroots music industry and beyond, to basically find interesting people and talk about their journey within it. And today, ladies and gentlemen, we've got Scott Powell from Camens. Hi, mate.
Morning, how's it going?
Yeah, I think I've perfected that intro now. Yeah,
It's good.
yeah, yeah, like that. It flowed there. Sometimes it's a bit of a pain because I'm crap at remembering stuff, but that seemed to go nice, nice.
No cards behind the camera, no.
Yeah, definitely. There's like five people behind with like auto cue shit. So Scott, mate, thanks for joining us today. Camens are a band I've seen online for quite a lot, and we've covered quite a few stuff on RGM, but I've never really spoke to you. And thanks for joining us today, mate. Where do we find you today?
You find me in Stoke-on-Trent.
Yeah, pissing it down, innit?
Yeah, absolutely. We've just been saying it's not a
Yeah.
pleasant morning, but this is the pleasant bit, I think.
Yeah, nice one. Thanks for joining us for a chat, mate. So let's kick off then. So Stoke-on-Trent. Talk us through what's it like as a band from Stoke-on-Trent.
Difficult. No, it's good, man. No, Stoke's. I think the biggest thing that Stoke struggles with is like an hour from everywhere. So like anybody from Stoke who's pushing ends up moving to Manchester probably or London or Liverpool. Everywhere's an hour away. So there's a lot of really good creatives in Stoke and a lot of people working really hard on the Stoke scene to try and grow it. But it is a slog when you've got massive music cities like Manchester and Liverpool that are just an hour down the road, I suppose.
Yeah. Is it like one of those towns that gets forgotten about a little bit for like gigs and headlining tours and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, well, I mean, no, we've got a couple of venues that you get
Yeah.
touring acts come through. But there's like nothing of the size of like the things that you've got in, like say, Manchester, Liverpool,
Yeah.
things like that. Yeah, I think all good indie bands should come from forgotten northern towns. Really, I think that's that's probably a good thing. A lot of that guitar wave from like the early 2000s came from like offshoots of Sheffield and offshoots of Manchester, and so maybe we're one of them. I don't know.
I think there's something in that because I see a lot of bands that have obviously got money behind them because they've got every video, every single they bring out, they've got an amazing video and that kind of stuff. And those type of bands don't seem to have the story behind it, the graft and just and the struggles that go on around us all really in real life sometimes. I think there's something in that.
Yeah, there's definitely becoming an apparent split between like, I don't know, naming any names, but like bands whose mum and dads have been on telly for 40 years, or bands who've got really obvious industry connections that help make things happen a lot quicker and a lot easier than it is if your dad was a gas meter reader like my mum. You know what I mean? So like, there's definitely a different journey for some bands than others. I would say that's
like in Ayla.
I'm not naming any. I like a nailer, you know what I mean. But if Bono's your dad, that's obviously going
to know.
At the end of the day.
They are good. I went to see.
Oh, great! Great.
I didn't know Bono or his dad when I first saw him. I went to see him in in Manchester. I think it was part of the Neighbourhood Festival, and they were in the Pink Room in which is like it's a decent sized venue. I think a couple of hundred people, I think tops, but it's rammed with 200 people, in a proper sweatbox. And the stage isn't big. It's got like a door behind the stage, and they've obviously got a team behind them because they've got money and stuff. So like in between songs and stuff, this bloke had to come through a door and bring a guitar in for him and that.
The dream, mate. The dream that you get that one day, and you don't have to stand there making idle conversation while you tune the guitar in. That would be the dream. One day, you never know.
Yeah, one day we'll have somebody to pass us something from over there. That'd be great, wouldn't it? That'd be good. So, talk us through how you got into music. Oh, talk us through before you were into music. What were you like growing up in Stoke? What was it like for you, Scott, a young kid that didn't know you were starting this band yet? What were it like before music entered your life?
Yeah, I mean, that's music's always been about, really. So I kind of grew up on my mum and dad's stuff, Beatles and Rolling Stones and Kinks and Fleetwood Mac, all that kind of stuff was always knocking around the house. So yeah, that was, I suppose, always been kind of like bled into me that kind of way. And then I've always been good with words. I always enjoyed like wordplay and ideas and world building, storytelling, all that kind of stuff. So like English at school. And I've always had a voice. I've always known I could always do like karaoke on holidays when I was a kid. And, I always could tell that I could sing. So then about 14, 15, high school, I suppose when you're kind of finding where you fit in the world, all these kind of things kind of married together, really. I started like, I fell in with like a group who played instruments and like guitar music. So then I started to play, and then you kind of marry that up with the writing kind of thing. And I just, I was writing like poems essentially with no music behind them. So I thought I'd better
Ah.
learn how to play something so that the songs are not poems. I felt a
You,
bit
were you
cool.
good at like creative writing in English and that as a kid?
Yeah, that was always my bag. Like I used to, I'd like a few bits published when I was really young. Like I'd
Yeah.
stuff published in like certainly like local publications. I even got something in like a national football magazine once
Oh,
when I was
wow.
about like 10, 11, which was like, but like I enjoyed writing. I enjoyed like putting ideas together and stringing concepts together. Um, and then my favorite songwriters do that as well. Like I always love like Ray Davis out of Kinks, great like picture painting songwriter, like Waterloo
Oh.
Sunset, things like that.
So
And
did you
all
write? Did you do your creative writing as a kid about music then? Because I can remember. Did they ask you to write books and stuff in English as your kid? I think I wrote some. Remember that alien called Alf?
yeah, I do remember Ralph. Yeah,
Ah, it killed me. That little animal thing. I think I wrote. So I'm just having a little bit of flashback from English writing at school. I think I did like a story about him, and he come to live with me and that, and he's this alien, and I had to hide him and stuff. I don't know where I'm going with
yeah,
this.
in the Teddies.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, the little Alf thing.
Yeah, yeah.
But
No,
yes,
man. I mean,
you
just
always read about music.
man. Well, I mean, I don't really even write about music now. Like, I tend to like. I mean, I write about like life and stuff that like is apparent and real for everybody. I think I heard somebody say once, if you write what's real for you and you're normal, it'll be real for a lot of other normal people as well. So that's definitely something that I've always written about. And then, like movies is a big thing for me and the band. Like, we all kind of lock on a like I love film and like
Mm,
cinema in general. So like art inspires art. I quite often end up writing songs after watching something and
mm,
seeing a scene that sparks a narrative that will lead to me writing something. Like it's always, yeah, it's always something around that. And yeah, when I was younger, I don't know, really, I didn't really know what I was doing. I just know I enjoyed it. I think.
yeah.
And then
What
it married up with the music once I started playing. I think.
what was like school like around you? What were the kids like around you? Were you looked up upon as like a bit of a weirdo with music, or like did you stand out a little bit, or was it like quite common in
I think
your
I
area?
think like a confidence thing when I was that age. Like for a long time, to be fair, like it took me like well into my early 20s to have the confidence like go in front of a project by myself as well. I was never
Yeah.
was someone who put myself forward, and I was always kind of like um hesitant to be too noisy about it. I just know that I enjoyed it and I liked doing it, and I was like trying to find an avenue to go and do it. And then around about 17, like halfway through college, I joined my first band. It was only doing covers, but like I
I
just
ask I
remember
ask this question every time. What was the band name?
they were called Stepping Lane, which was the
Okay.
singers where the singer went to uni in Derby, the street he
Oh,
lived
right.
on. But like at like 17, I remember like getting all the prospectuses from all the unis that I could have gone to halfway through college, and just not being able to find anything that I looked at and thought, you know what, I'll love this and I'll enjoy doing this and I'll put as much into it as needs to, as I was enjoying going out and gigging every weekend at that point. So at that point it was only covers, but like at 17 I was going all over the country and we're doing like Butlins and Havens holiday
Oh.
parks, things like that, doing
Getting paid and stuff, or
yeah, exactly, yeah. So like
wow, getting
my,
paid in
my
music.
yeah, well, that was covers, but I mean, my mates hadn't even got like a full wage in there, like 16-year-old, 17-year-old job roles, and I was picking up like 200-300 quid a weekend just going out and playing Beatles and Rolling Stones covers. So I suppose that hooked me originally, and then I kind of got to the point where like I was like, well, this is just covers, and I've always loved writing, so if I'm going to write, I've got to get away from this and go and do something
Mm.
original. Um, and then obviously I've had a few failed projects like everybody does, and then came and started when I was about 25, 26, and we've been hammering it from then, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting the doing the cover stuff. I speak to loads of bands, and Sam Shadell's one who I've known for years. I can remember hosting festivals and stuff, and Sam being on, and he were just speaking to him, and he were off that night going to play a wedding. And then I hope he don't mind him saying it. He did feel it was quite like soul destroying in a way, because he was so much. He just wasn't. you just can't get as passionate about doing someone else's stuff as what your own, can you? It's a completely
Kind of
different ball game.
becomes a job, like it becomes
Yeah.
a time in exchange for money thing where you're not doing something creative, and you're not doing something.
Yeah.
Well, some bands do. Some bands take it really seriously and mix their setup all the time and learn new stuff and do interesting stuff with it. It's a definite skill in itself, but it quite quickly, if you're not careful, becomes right. We've got 10 gigs in, and you turn up and do the same hour and a half set every
Mm.
time you go out, and then I mean, I sell phones for a living, and that's just getting up and doing the same thing every day. You know what I mean? It can quite quickly become that if you don't keep on top of it to keep it interesting for yourselves. But even then, you're essentially playing other people's stuff, and that was never what like the buzz that I get out of music is that moment in the practice room where you all lock
Yeah.
eyes on something new and kind of go, I think we've got something here, and you don't get that from covers. Well, I never did anyway.
You don't, and musicians tend to, even if there's no money there, they still go down that route if they're passionate about it, because it's not about money when you start off as a new band. Any new band watching this will be nodding their head saying, well, it'd be nice just to get paid for a gig every now and again.
Yeah, tell me about it. I mean, money, as we discussed earlier, like it can open a lot of doors for you in this game, but like there's huge jumps between like what you could do going out and doing weddings and what you need to like make serious inroads in this game for like the things that cost the money that they cost. So like people ask like kind of winds me up when people say, oh, you want to be a rock and roll star or something like that. I don't really. I just want to get up and be a creative every day. I mean, if I could earn from being a creative every day what I earn from selling mobile phones, that'd do me really. I mean, anything above and beyond that'd be amazing. But that's some jump to go from to be a full-time musician that earns you money from creative music.
What is a rock and roll star these days?
No, they're a thing of the past, aren't they? Really, I think.
They are, yeah. I think that the time has moved on in it since, the Oasis days when, they were just having fights and messing about and getting chucked off planes and all kinds of boats and stuff. When you don't see it about as much. The times have changed a little bit, and you've got to be more. And I don't know if this comes down from the record companies where they're just too scared of people being too raucous because they just are. I don't know if that's what people consider. Is there a particular reason why you didn't go down the Madhead route?
I think I think a lot of it's perception as well. I mean, if you perceive to
Yeah,
be one thing, like it's like the fisherman's story. I caught a fish and it was this big, this big, this big.
yeah,
It's like that. A lot of it's embellished, isn't it? Because I mean,
yeah.
I think I remember I did media studies at college, and I remember my media studies guy.
Me too.
Yeah, we were doing like newspaper headlines, and he said something along the lines of, "If the rock star puts sugar on his cornflakes, he doesn't sell any records. But if he puts cocaine on his
Yeah.
he'll probably sell more records, even if it's not true." So I think for a definite period of time, for a long time, that was true, because they controlled the narrative. Like there wasn't as much, like there wasn't the internet, and there wasn't smartphones and people with a camera everywhere, left, right, and center to show you the truth. Whereas like labels could control the narrative with the media outlets
Mm.
more 20, 30 years ago. So they could play on things like that easier. Whereas now, I mean, if Liam Gallagher was just being a dick to somebody obviously, and somebody filmed him, that'd ruin him like overnight, potentially to big
Yeah.
chunks of people. So it's a different world in it now. So yeah, I do think like the rock star of 20, 30 years ago is
Yeah.
gone now, I think.
I do miss that a little bit though.
The romance of it.
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
romance in like there's a romance in not knowing everything. I think
yeah,
like we live in a world now where like everybody's constant evolving thought is shared at every minute of the day, and like
yeah,
stories of like this is what we're doing and this is what it looks like and this is where we are and this is what I think about it and what do you think about that. Whereas like there is a romance of going, I wonder what they like
yeah,
I wonder what the reality is. I don't know, because then it's a bit like how you don't see the shark in Jaws till the end. Like what you imagine is
yeah,
far cooler or far more terrifying or whatever than the reality half the time. Whereas like we live in a world now where it's like it's so easy to just see whatever the reality is because everybody tells you on Twitter and
yeah.
Instagram straight away. I
It's
think
interesting, isn't it? I'm from a different area to you youngins era. I mean, and I still look back romantically to them days going to Oasis gigs and getting a pint of piss poured all over you. I didn't go to it for that reason.
Or when it hits you and it's warm, it's
Always
like, oh
happens.
no, it's warm.
I've been to many of them, many of them type of things that they were never fun, but you look back on it fondly, strangely.
I
Uh,
think that still goes on, but I think, like you
yeah,
say, like the that's gigs are still like what they always were.
yeah,
But like a difference now, like you go away from a gig and like imagine what them people that you just watched are like. Whereas now you can go and find out what they like because it's all over Instagram or it's all over Twitter or it's all over TikTok or whatever. You can go and find out what they're doing backstage seconds after they've done the gig because they film it and show you.
yeah, yeah,
kind of It kind of disguises some of the romance somewhat because, like I say, what you imagine is always probably far cooler than the reality. It's like
yeah.
when you go backstage at a gig, like people think backstage is amazing. Backstage is only like a toilet and a dressing room with a mirror. It's nothing spectacular.
And if you're lucky, some sandwiches somewhere.
Yeah, create a bit like it's got this like glamorous tag backstage, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like backstage at a gig, most of the time it's awful, man. It's like not somewhere you want to be at all.
When I first started RGM many years ago, I started to get like a few like free tickets for gigs and stuff, and then I started to get a few backstage things. I'm thinking, oh, this is exciting. This is going to be amazing, and I have romanticized about being backstage for many years before that, thinking wrongly that it's going to be this magical place. And and doing interviews and stuff. I ask a lot of people, or I did at the beginning, until I got the reality of it all. Like, what's the magic like backstage and that kind of something. Like, well, it's Portaloo over there. Then there's the stage is there, so that the stage is nice. But
Yeah,
it's just the Portaloo. You see some interesting people messing about, and that you have a good time, you kick a football about or whatever.
yeah,
I don't know what I was looking for. I
yeah,
don't.
exactly. Well, exactly, because what's in your head's like
Yeah,
champagne parties and
yeah,
birds knocking about everywhere. It's
yeah,
just not, man. It's normally just two rooms and a fire escape that they let you load the gear in through. I think we did Why Not last year.
yeah,
We've done a few festivals of that kind of size. And if you're an artist, obviously you get to go and mill around. We didn't do the main stage. Obviously, we were on like a small stage up in the fields. But the wristbands and that meant we could go and mill around like back at the main stages and that, which we obviously did to go and try and meet Kasabian and James and the other bands that were like headlining it. It's like literally you walk behind the massive tent and there's just 200 buses and 20 lorries parked up and some
yeah.
portaloos, and that's basically it, man. There's like nothing, there's no big grandiose kind of you know,
Yeah.
party going on.
I know it's disappointing that, isn't it?
A little bit, yeah. Like you feel like kind of walk through the door and go, "Oh, we're on a car park," which is basically what it was.
Well, you mentioned something interesting earlier that there's a few people trying to grow the local Stoke music scene. Who are they? Who are these people?
Oh man, so I mean, we've got a couple of great festivals. There's the Limelight Festival in
Hmm.
Newcastle on the Lyme every year. That's in the second bank holiday in May, and then we have the
Yeah.
Your City Festival, first bank holiday in May. We're playing that this year. That's our album launch. Actually, we're headlining the Friday night as part of it as our album launch. So Ben Nixon runs that. Rich Sheehan runs that. There's great people that, even though BBC Introduction's been scaled down now, there's still an Introduction in Stoke that's just not the size it was now that they've dialed it all back. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of creatives in Stoke. It just feels like Stoke's too small a place to make the most of them, and that's why an awful lot of people end up. Like our producer, Andy Gannon, is from Stoke-on-Trent. He's moved to Manchester now, just because he's got to progress. So like he's doing records with Cortinas now. I don't think you'll mind me saying. He's doing like writing sessions with people like DMAs and Enter
Hmm.
Shikari and people like that. They're just opportunities he's never in a million years going to get if he's
Yeah.
in this city. You have to move to where where the action is, I suppose.
We had Lissy Taylor on the
This
podcast.
is great. This is from Stoke, yeah.
Yeah, she comes to Manchester quite a lot to do gigs to try and branch out of her home, town, and it happens all over. It's obviously not just Stoke. Even like big cities like Sheffield, people want to still get to Manchester, and not too sure about Leeds, but I've always found Leeds quite hard work to get into their scene. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
we've got a deck of leads on that tour.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think another thing about like big cities is it's just the opportunity to play more. Like
yeah,
music's. There's no trick to music. Like the more you do it, the better you get at it.
yeah,
So if you're from a city that gives you opportunity to maybe play a couple of nights a week every month without playing the same venue for 3 months, then
Yeah.
you'll be a better band than the band that comes from a city where they could play every venue in their city in a week and then not gig for 6 months.
Yeah.
There's no trick to it. The more you do it, the better you get at it. So it's opportunity as well. And obviously,
Yeah.
if you're from out of town, every promoter works on the basis like, well, can you do 20 tickets? Can you do 25 tickets? And you go, well, not really. We're not from Manchester. So then, like it's hard to get a foothold in places like that to grow like an initial fan base that means you can keep returning and grow and move up bills and things when you're not from them cities, because just getting it in the first place is hard enough when you're not from there.
As a promoter in Manchester, I've personally been like that. I haven't been able to put bands on out of town.
Even though you want to, I'd imagine. Like, I'd love to have you on, lads, but
I'd more than want to. I feel like I need to. And this year I've just booked some new dates from September onwards at Oldham 33. I've moved my gigs away from Gulliver's a little bit because their higher fees got quite expensive.
Yeah, so you got to cover yourself, haven't you? At the end of the day,
you've got to cover yourself. So if you can't sell any tickets, you're going to lose money.
yeah.
And you can't keep doing it if you lose money every time.
Yeah.
So what do you do? It's tickets seem really difficult to sell anyway. Even local bands struggle to sell tickets to the mates sometimes because cost of living and people are skint and stuff. It's but I have decided I've got Sam Shadell on. Speaking of him earlier, I've got him on in Manchester in June. So I am this year. I'm going to take more risks with it and just go for it because fuck it.
Well, I mean, it's music needs as many people to help each other as possible.
Yeah.
Especially like there seems to be a split in music where you've got like the London scene who want to do what they want to kind of like press on the rest of the world what they think the next cool thing is, and then you've got the North that just kind of goes, well, we'll do what we want, thank you very much. We know we know what we like, and we'll just back what's cool, not what we're told to back's cool. I think. So yeah, that kind of in that kind of mindset, the North needs as many people doing them kind of things as possible.
Yeah.
You just need everybody involved to be doing the best they can.
Yeah.
In terms of like, if every band on the bill's pushed as hard as they can to get people there, and there's 40 people there, well then you do 40 people. It's just one of them things, isn't it? This game at the minute, especially after COVID, trying to get people out is difficult. It definitely is.
Yeah, well, I love the band name Camens. I'm not going to ask the question where did the name come from because I just think I just don't like that question in general. I think it's a bit old hat, but I just like the name. It's a good solid name. How did the band come together then? Talk us about how you all found each other and and got cracked on.
I initially just started after I came out of like that kind of cover scene and wanting to do my own thing and wanting to like kind of fly or die on my own kind of choices and my own songwriting. So I just started going into the studios and making records without a band. So I was playing like bass and rhythm as much myself as I could, and then just like programmed drums. They weren't great, but like it was a start. It was so I could get moving really. So I released a few things just on my own solo, and then Corb's the guitarist, James Corbishley. He saw me posting bits online. He got in touch, said, "Have you got like a regular guitarist?" No. So we had a jam. He knew Josh from school, the other guitarist, and then we found Luke on a Muso website, band members looking for bands, looking for an original band. And yeah, for like a period, like about 18 months, 2 years, we were basically gigging like my original stuff. But as that was happening, we'd started to write more organically together. So slowly but surely, it was becoming less you lads playing my songs and more a band.
Was that more pressure off you as well
then? I enjoy it more. I think the older that you get as well, like you kind of realize that there's two kinds of bands. You get like dictatorships where you get somebody going, right, they're the songs, go and play them. Them bands tend to sound exactly like whatever that frontman loves, which is always like a diet version of whatever that is, which I never think.
So it was never going to be Scott Powell and the Camens then. It was never going to be that.
No, well, I mean, it's just like I think when you're an organic band where it's a bit of everybody, like you end up in these cool middle spaces between influences. Like Corbs is very much like a big Chili's fan, like kind of West Coast American sound, and then I'm definitely been brought up on like English rock and roll and English beat bands, so there's that in me. And then we've got Josh, who loves his more stripped back stuff. He's great with his harmonies, so he's like Paul Simon and yeah, all that kind of vibe. So he brings his three-part harmonies in with us, and then Luke's probably a fan of heavier stuff than any of us. So before you know it, like the songs end up in this like cool little middle space sometimes where it doesn't sound like any one thing in particular, but like a meld of them two or a meld of these two. And I think that's just a way more creatively interesting place to be as opposed to just, right, I've written this on the end of my bed, while you play it exactly as I'm telling you to.
Yeah, well, the dynamics of a band are important too. So when all these new people come into your life, playing the music that you started off writing, how was that? Because starting a new band and being as serious about it as what you are, not everybody has the same passion and that kind of stuff for music, and it can be more difficult for some members that aren't as passionate about the music as yourself sometimes, I suppose.
Yeah, I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's one of the things that you got. One of the most difficult things in being in a band is finding people who you can be in a band with for all sorts of different reasons. Like everybody's got to want it because it's such a slog. Like
Yeah.
there are more downs than ups.
Mm.
Everybody's got to be prepared to put the time in. You've all got to like get on with one another because you spend an awful lot of time just like sat in small bands or sat in
Yeah.
dirty backstages, or you know what I mean. So if you don't get on, you rip each other's heads off. So like that's an odd enough thing to find. Like anyway, and then yeah, there was definitely like a period early on for that like original stuff where you can't just bring a musician in to play something that's been written for them that isn't naturally what they would do. I mean, you can do. There's some like superb session musicians who would just play anything, but in general, like people have their own vibe and their own way of doing things. So when you just try and like push the jigsaw piece into the space that it doesn't go, maybe sometimes
Yeah.
it doesn't click quite as well. Obviously, I mentioned earlier like that golden moment in being in a band, in an originals band, an organic originals band like this one is. There's definitely moments where like something will come into the room and then you'll jam it together, and then there's like this lock eye moment where you kind of look at one another with this like
Yeah.
childish excitement of going, oh, we've got one here. This is good. This is going to be good. I mean, it's going to need work, but we can feel it. We can hear it. That's the magic bit, and you only get that if you do it that organic way. You definitely don't get it if you just go, right, there's the song, crack on. So yeah, man. I mean, that's one of the big joys of doing it is like being a creative, and that's a creative place to be working with people.
Yeah. Where would you feel Camens are within the grand scheme of things at the minute in the industry? Where do you feel you sit at the minute?
We're pushing, man. I mean, we definitely. So the whole point of this year is to like use the album to
Mm.
grow the footprint of the band, so that we can be more of an option for like things that we're not at the level of at the minute. So we've done major festivals, we've done national tours with big artists. We're about to go and do 3 dates with the K's. So we're doing Hull 600 sold out, Edinburgh's 700 sold out, Newcastle's 2,000 cap sold out. So they're like massive gigs for us. We've done similar size stuff on tour with Scouting for Girls before, who are a little bit more mainstream and poppy than we'd like to be, but they're still massive rooms and great experiences. So like we've done lots of the things that you'd want to check off the list, but they come round kind of like, we always say there's about 4 or 5 gigs a year that make us feel like a proper band. And like I suppose the real task for us now is to get to the point where we're doing stuff that makes us feel like a proper band every month, or every other weekend, because that's the only way you grow, really. We've had national radio play. John Kennedy played us recently. Stephen Max played us before. But even things of that like industry kudos.
Yeah.
John Kennedy doesn't play on Radio X, and then all of a sudden your Twitter explodes. It just doesn't work like that. So the only way that you grow is by like getting out there and gigging and being in front of people, and connecting with people in that kind of like real way that I think an awful lot of people crave now. So that's the task for us, really. Can we get to that stage where we can get a booking agent, maybe you can have us out in front of 200-300 people every weekend, as opposed to once a month like it is at the minute. That's the aim of this year, to use the album to get to that kind of level, I think.
The K's are nice lads, aren't they?
We've not met them yet, to be fair. I mean, I've listened to the records, yeah. So I mean, we're really fortunate to have got the gigs. I mean, we're absolutely buzzing for them. They're all 2 weeks before our album release as well. So obviously we're hoping that we connect with their crowd, and they can help push us towards a potential top 40, which is the dream. But we've not met them yet. But records sound great, man. We're buzzing to be playing with them. We're definitely fans, so it's good
Yeah,
to
we
be.
had Ryan and Jamie on before, and then just halfway through the interview, the rest of the band joined them in there. They just look like they're having so much fun, and they're just making great headway. There was a Twitter friend, Nemo. They played their house the other day. Like there's some party going on that looked amazing last weekend.
Oh yeah, I've
They were
seen it.
playing
Looks good.
someone's house. Yeah, it just looked it just looked, they were all just having fun, even if they were just in someone's front room, just giving it as much as what they would do playing to 2000 in Newcastle or whatever.
Yeah, I mean that's another thing as well about like if you can get to that level where you're out all the time,
Yeah.
like music's not like riding a bike. Like if you don't do a gig for a month, when you go out and do your first gig, nobody's absolutely like dancing around the stage and enjoying themselves. Like you're like, right, where is it? Okay, do you know what I mean? Like there's a bit of that amongst everybody. It's all like a new pair of shoes when you haven't done a gig for a while.
Yeah.
Like it's not until you do two or three on the bounce that it becomes like completely natural and you're not thinking about it and you're just doing it and enjoying yourself and performing. So like for lads like that who've got to the stage that they've got to, they're out all the time playing, man. So like they're doing the thing that they absolutely love most, and it's completely effortless because they're doing it all the time. So again, the more you do something, the better you get at it. And they're doing great gigs in front of loads of people and things are blowing up. So it must be just an unreal experience to get to them kind of points where you're getting to do it all the time because the enjoyment of doing it is so much better when you're doing gig on top of gig on top of gig and they're all good gigs, which we've experienced that like maybe 3 or 4 times as a band where we managed to get a run of really good gigs together. That's when it starts getting really, that's when we feel like a proper band, I suppose.
There's no secret, is it? It's just hard work and graft and engaging with your fans online.
Yeah, exactly that, mate. I mean,
If you're not doing all those things, you're not doing enough.
yeah, exactly that. I mean, it's getting the opportunities to go and do it, as well. Like there's no point in us like driving to Scunthorpe to play to 15 people with no money, like do you know what I mean? You got it's like getting gigs in that are worth doing basically. They're going to grow you because you could fill the diary up overnight with empty venues that that are all over the place and cost yourself a load of money driving around, but you're not actually progressing. You're just chucking money away. So the real difficult
Yeah.
bit is to get the diary full of stuff that's actually going to grow your band. Even if if you do small gigs, you grow slowly. If you do bigger gigs, you go quicker. So it's just trying to get the best stuff you can, really. Which is again, that's the aim of this year.
How do you get the best of those? So, because it's easier said than done, isn't it? Everybody wants to go out on the road, and some people do take the risk and don't play to many people. You've got to start somewhere, getting out of your own uh,
Yeah,
town or city, aren't you? So how do you know what's going to be good? Because obviously, like a gig with the K's or Scout with Girls or whatever,
yeah.
they're the ace gigs. But other than
Yeah.
those type of gigs, how do you kind of judge it?
I mean, most gigs at this kind of level, other than the kind of ones you've just spoken about, are a risk. Like you're looking at it and going, right, well, we've weighed up every variable, and this could be solid, so let's go and do it. And then there's some that you can just tell straight away, like don't touch that with a barge pole. The sound will probably be awful. There will be nobody there. You'll spend £200 on van and petrol getting there and back. You probably will lose half a day's pay because it's on a Thursday night. Like these are all things that the album's called Work Life Balance.
Right.
And
Okay.
as
Yeah.
much a testament to the world that we live in and having to make it as the world that we live in, trying to promote it and go and gig it and things like that. Because like a bit like I said earlier about like just wanting to be able to get up and be a creative every day. Like we're in practice rooms on you know Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock at night when two of the lads have been on building sites at 7 o'clock that morning. Do you know what I mean? So you're not cognitively firing
Yeah.
at the point you want to be doing the thing that you're trying to do your best at. So you're like stood there trying to get the best out of each other as you can, knowing that everyone's knackered, man. Everyone's been work all day. Some like Josh comes, he hasn't even had time had tea most nights. You know what I mean? They come straight
Yeah.
from, and that's the reality of like being in a real band, really. Like just having made the album is a testament to is an achievement in itself, really. So anything that we can do with it over the next 12 months would be some achievement for who we are.
Yeah, well, we're definitely going to be talking about the new album soon and the new single that's just come out too.
Nice.
There is going to be links to pre-order the album within the description of this podcast as well, ladies and gentlemen. So, but we're going to talk about that soon. I do want to talk about life on the road because it's another one of those areas that I just like talking about because it's always that bit must always be always be fun? Is that a stretch?
Oh no, not always fun. Sometimes it's an absolute mall. Like we've had breakdowns and stood at the side of the M6 till 3 o'clock
Okay.
in the morning, and like hotels that we booked and you turn up, there's no glass in the windows. Like we've had, you name it, man.
There's no glass in the windows.
Oh mate, yeah, we've had some absolute shockers. Like we went downstairs, it's like there's no window in the window. It's like, oh right, we moved this eventually, but oh loads, man. One of the best ones we very early on, so like 2018. We were working with a manager who got a friend who got like a food tent that he took around the major festivals. It's like a breakfast tent. So like literally people come up and do like, you know, buffet breakfasts. And they had like basically they just had a PA and a pallet stage, and they said like, we'll just bring the lads, we'll put them in as kitchen staff, and they can just play gigs in between like people having their dinner every day.
Oh, yeah.
So, but like they were going to like Latitude and Boardmasters and Green Man and like a few other really cool festivals. So we were like, we'll go do that. There'll be be loads of people there. You spend half your time as a band trying to get people to come to you. We'll just go to them if there's an opportunity to. So they give us like passes that said we were kitchen staff, and then we tipped up in our van with like enough gig to do, enough gig to do one of the small stages, basically, like in the back of this van. We had to like argue our way in. This guy that eventually let us in, I was sacked the next day. We went back to try and find him, and he'd been sacked. I think for letting us in, but once we were in, there's nothing they could do about it. And yeah, we played like pop up gigs basically. So we do 3 sets a day in this breakfast tent at Latitude and Boardmasters and Green Man. And then because we got the gear, we just went and did like wherever we could set up and play. And we found this guy who got a horse box that he served cocktails out of. It was like a converted horse box, and it was in the middle of all the camping fields. So there's just thousands of tents around it. We're like, can we play on the roof? And he was like, yeah, you can play on the roof if you want to. So we just went on the top of this horse box and set the gear up and did an hour with like all these tents around us and that. And as well because
Power it. I'm just thinking of the logistics of these things.
oh yeah, I think we tripped a few things. Basically, we were running
Oh,
off.
right.
I remember their electrics was coming around, and they obviously got the electrics for all the food making stuff and what have you. So,
Oh, no.
I mean, it was an experience for a start. But I mean, we basically were like out gigging for about 2-3 weeks straight. We had a little break after the first couple of dates, and after the first couple of dates, we're like, I'm not camping for another 3 weeks doing this. There's no way I can sleep in a tent for 3 weeks doing this on the ground. It's not happening. So we went and bought a caravan of some gypsies for £400. And this caravan was like a box on wheels, like literally not pretty at all. I remember when we picked it up, we hooked it up to the back of the van, and we went around the back of it to check everything was working. And Corbs, the guitarist, went to this gypsy, the lights aren't working. And this gypsy went, it's daytime. It was like, but it won't be when we're like 20 minutes from Boardmasters at 4 o'clock in the morning. We ended up getting that working. As we were like driving down to Boardmasters, the insurance people rang me because I had to insure it and said, you said £400 that you wanted to insure the caravan for. You meant 4,000, didn't you? It's like, no, £400. So literally 2 wheels and a cardboard box. We got down there, the skylight had blown off halfway through, so we spent about like half an hour as soon as we got there, like pinning bin liners over the top of this massive hole and soaking wet. I mean that was Boardmasters and Latitude, but it was great fun, man. Like
Yeah, that sounds great.
Josh took his surfboard down, to Boardmasters, and this caravan was relatively small. We couldn't really even fit in it, so he perched the surfboard across like the kitcheny bit and a window and slept on the surfboard.
Oh, there you go.
So we were like underneath, we were like stacked on top of one another in the caravan in between gigs. Funny.
So most of the time it's fun then.
Well, most of the time.
Or is it on? Is it on? When you think back and it was fun. Was it? Is it? You know what I mean? It's the romance of it. Is that looking back?
Yeah, I think at the time you're probably looking at it going, "What are we doing?" Like one of them things. Definitely plenty of them moments. There was one in Birmingham actually. We did this gig in Birmingham. We were headlining. The band that supported us was 3 lads. They came on stage. They got 3 acoustic guitars, and they got about 13 strings between the 3 of them. So if you do your maths, that doesn't add up. No. They got a pop-up tent, and they opened this pop-up tent and put it down in front of the stage. and then they had like a Fisher Price toy, like electric campfire, and they put that in front of the tent, and then they sat down in front of the stage, facing one another in a triangle, not facing the crowd, facing each other. They played, I think they played 3 Oasis covers. I think they played Wonderwall twice,
Oh, Christ.
and then they played an original. Um, the lyrics were "Who's Got the Cat" on loop for about 15 minutes over the same 3 chords, to the point where everybody starts like looking at each other, going, "How much longer is this game going on?" Like, what's like some kind of Mighty Boosh reenactment or something. And in the end, they had to be forcibly removed from the venue because like they'd overrun their set time and were making no attempts to like go anywhere. Bear in mind, like you're like trying to progress and get somewhere, and what you're doing, you were just like stood waiting to go on watching this. I think I had like a little cry in the background, which is like funny to look back on now, but at the time, yeah, maybe not as funny when it was happening, but very surreal. Yeah, that was Birmingham. There's loads of them. Loads of them.
And they turned out to be. I thought that's
Yeah,
what it went like fucking. I
yeah,
don't know,
yeah, no, I don't
Vivian, yeah, and they turned out to be considered that.
No, no idea where they are now, but surreal, definitely, definitely.
It's gonna search Spotify. Who's got the cat? See if it's going for
Yeah,
it.
go see if it's got 12 million hits on there.
So you're getting all the support. You mentioned John Kennedy there. He's a good supporter of the local music scene. Everybody loves that guy. I saw him down at this Feelings gig in Bridlington.
Right.
He was DJing it out and about in the crowd, and everybody were coming up to him and that kind of stuff. He's just like one of those.
I wonder if he like just walks down the street and just have, like demos thrown at him by like
I can imagine, yeah, like
lads with Beatles cuts hanging out a window. Give me song, John. Chucking CDs at him. That must be his like umbrella everywhere he goes for stopping getting.
I do hear that he still listens to him though, even though whatever he gets on the street and stuff, he's just passionate about it. Like
Great man.
like all the great DJs. We need more people like that in the radio industry, I suppose, as well, because that's hard work, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. Again, I mean, radio's a funny one. Like I say, it kind of exists for bands like us now, more for your CV, if for want of a better word, or for your socials. Like I say, like we've had national radio play, we've had good radio play. Access are really good too. It's the first
Yeah.
single off the album was Access Manchester Record of the Week for a week, and then playlisted for like the whole month. But even that, like radio play doesn't connect with people like turning around. Like we don't get loads of people commenting on all the pages again. Or we've heard you on Radio X or XS or Radio One or whatever, going, "Oh, you're fantastic, we're coming your gig." Like you got to have like consistent radio play. Like it's got to be hammered for like weeks and weeks and weeks on end. Like 3. That's why when you listen to like Radio One, you hear the same 15 songs over and over again because
Yeah.
it's just advertising, isn't it, basically? So like radio is great to be able to turn around and go like, he's played us and he's played us and we've played on that. Like it looks great, but it doesn't do an awful lot in terms of like growing the footprint of the band and bringing new people on board. That's all gigs. That is, like I say, small gigs you grow slowly, big gigs you grow quicker.
So let's move on to the album. So an album's a big stage in any band's career, isn't it? But every band I've spoken to that's just released a debut album, it's kind of when the hard work starts after that, because you're not a new band anymore. You've got an album out, so you've kind of got to really crack on after you've got an album out there, I suppose. How's it feeling now? It's about to come out. What's the vibe in the band about having a fucking album?
Yeah, man, it's like a moment in time, like a stamp kind of thing, really. Like we do all kind of look at it with like a realistic tinge of going like, one day we'll all be, 60, 65-year-old men, and we will look back and go, you know what, we made that,
Hmm.
and all right, okay, it hasn't gone down alongside maybe Sergeant Pepper's or whatever, but that's everything as good as we could do. So there's a bit of that about it. Like it's a real landmark moment to, like I say, for a band like us to be able to afford and achieve making it is something to be proud of. And then now it's just making the best swing of it we can, man. I mean, like I've said that quite a bit. Like now the real work starts now, because no point in bringing it out and it only selling 30 copies because you didn't do enough work to get people to know about it. So it's just a constant slog now to reach as many people as we can. And singles have been well received. Like I said, we've had some nice radio play. We've got some nice gigs coming up, and it gives you like a tool basically to reach out to people and go, look, there's a body of work here that like we're really proud of and that seems to be going down well. Can you help us reach more people with it? Which is something you can't do when you're just doing a single every 3 months, which is kind of been the plan for the last few years.
Yeah.
So we definitely realised that you can't just keep banging singles out forever, hoping that one goes viral and that changes your life overnight. At some point, you've got to do a more, you know, a bigger body of work that the time was right to do, I think. So we took like about 8 months off publicly last year to afford and work and do the recording and put all the infrastructure in place to be able to go and release the record. So to have got that far and announced it and now be pushing it,
Mm.
yeah, it's like a proud excitement, I would say, to see
So
where we get
what
it
can
to.
we expect from it? Is it quite a lot of the singles that you brought out, or is it quite new stuff? How have you gone about it?
Yeah, so I mean, just on a financial basis, like 12 brand new tracks was probably never going to be
Yeah.
affordable.
Yeah.
But so there's 4 previously released singles on it. So we picked like a mix of the stuff that we know that people who love us love, and then there's the other couple are like sonically the ones that we're like kind of most proud of, or songwriting wise the ones that we're most proud of. And then yeah, the other 8 are all brand new tracks. Obviously, Cynical's just come out. Confetti
Yep.
Kalashnikovs came out yesterday, actually, as we record this now. Um, and yeah, it's been nice as well because when you're just doing singles, you write with a single head on as well. Like so, you kind of go, well, for a single, the song would do this now, as opposed to like just letting yourself go wherever it might feel it might be cool to go. So there's definitely a few tracks on there that are not um, pop structure, you know, verse, chorus, middle eight, pre, end. You know, like there's a few where we've been able to be a bit more creative with it, which you wouldn't do if you were just doing singles. Like there's a couple that wouldn't be brought out as singles, but that we really love and we're really proud of.
And is it going to be on vinyl?
It is. You can get vinyls now. You can get vinyl, CD, digital download. Everything's with merch bundles as well. And then every gig on our tour, you can get a ticket with a CD. And we're coming to Manchester night and day on the 7th of May. Liverpool, London, doing a big launch in Stoke. We're going to Leeds. We just announced one in Lichfield. We're going to Birmingham as well. So yeah, we're going to be busy boys as of like April onwards.
Nice one. So I was speaking to Rick Witter from Shed Seven just before his album come out, and I was just asking him about how he structured his the new album, and I just found it fascinating. And it's obvious, really, if you think about it a little bit, but it was new information to me because I just didn't think about it. It's like, just the track listing on an album, you've got to like number 6, it's got to be a bit of a banger because people listening on a vinyl have to get up off the fat ass to turn record over
Yeah.
to want to turn it over. Little things like that. It's I found that kind of interesting. Just little things I never even thought of.
You know what? Very recently, like so, it's Christmas on the basis that I knew that we were going to be bringing out a vinyl,
Yeah.
having not bought them before or not had a turntable to play them on. I bought my mum and dad one for Christmas, and then bought them like their first records they'd ever bought as part of their Christmas present, and then like just found myself like hypnotized by vinyl once I was like listening to it. Like it genuinely is. It's completely changed the listening to music experience for me in a way I'm really grateful for. It's like turned listening to albums again. It's a bit like putting a film on. It's like I'm listening to, like I find myself watching the record player when it's playing sometimes. And yeah, there's definitely is this like, because you don't like select what track you want, so you listen through the body of work like as an artist would have intended to listen through a body of work, and they are structured. Yeah, you can definitely see that where it's like, the 6 on side A and the 6 on side B, or however they split it. You start seeing like, in a way, I've been buying my favorite records, that I've never listened to on vinyl, and then I'm enjoying them in like a totally new and different way than I've ever enjoyed them before, because all of a sudden
More
you've got
relaxed, isn't it? It's more like I've been doing it this week with the new Red Rum Club album.
brilliant. Yeah,
And I tend to buy the vinyl now from a band, and then just stream it when I'm out and about. So I've got
yeah,
both
yeah.
worlds, but it's just like on a Sunday or something. You're just making your dinner or whatever. You just got
That's
an
it. Every
you've got an
Sunday
album on
morning,
the
I did
background.
like come down and stick a record on while I'm making my
Yeah,
breakfast, and then
yeah,
like instead of like just turning it off and then sticking the telly on like you would do a Spotify or stuff,
yeah,
and then
yeah.
I just sit and listen to the record while I'm eating my breakfast, and that's something that like I haven't done for such a long time. Like probably since I was like, I remember like one of the big moments I think, which is weird to think back on it. It's like when I was about like I don't know, 15, 16, the first iPods that came out, like the
Yeah.
big block ones. Like I had one of them, and all of a sudden just was never not listening to music. Like I used to get told off in class for sneaking the earphone up my sleeve and like having it in half in while like whatever was going on, class was going on. So like that was the last time I remember loving listening to music. Do you know what I mean? Like loving the experience of listening to music. And it feels like that again, in a strange way, even though the technology's predates it by like 70 odd years.
I can remember getting one of those bricks, and I was obsessed with filling it. So
Yeah.
I think I managed to get like 5,000 songs onto it. 4,800 of them I probably never listened to, but
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you can like it's a different experience when you've got it on your phone and you got a tune and it's you just think of a tune, oh, let's listen to that one, oh, listen to that one. You don't tend to like relax into an album, do you?
Well, there's
Like
no
I
skipping
like kind
tracks
of
or anything like that with
yeah,
vinyl, is it? Like I don't like I don't put it on and go, I really love the third track of this, so I'll drop the
yeah,
needle in there. Don't
yeah.
do that. On, do what you're doing, place. It's totally changed like my experience of listening to music and my enjoyment of listening to music, which is a really great thing because like art does inspire art. So you find yourself writing on the back of the fact that you're listening to music properly again, and writing in a different way and writing new stuff and hearing things that you've not heard before because you're properly listening. It's not just on.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I'm really buzzing to hear. I was on on May 3rd when we get the copies. Be good
How
fun.
did you come up with like because the artwork on a piece of vinyl is very it's artwork. I can imagine it being quite difficult to get a final draft on how you want it to look. How did you
We fell on ours, mate. To be fair, like it's
go
such a
on?
difficult thing to, there's a million like there's always a bit like you mentioned. You didn't want to go through like how we got the band name. Everybody can always find a reason to not go with whatever
Yeah,
band name was suggested or
yeah,
whatever. Someone says, why don't we use this for the artwork? There's always a reason. Why, eventually, you just have to like draw a line in the sand and go, well, it's got to be something. So we go with
yeah.
that. We played a festival last summer in Cheshire, with Feeder. They played it. Star Sailor played it. So that was like it was a really good one. And we had one of our photographer mates came to the festival, and we weren't planning on doing any kind of promo stuff. He was just coming to do live shots for us. And it was in this really like nice setting. It was like castle about and middle of Cheshire countryside. It was in a cool place. So Liam, the photographer, said, "Come on, let's go do some press shots. We've got nothing else to do." And then we just went wandering and taking some. And then that's one that we just fell on. And like he sent it to us, and it had got this like kind of like cool twist blur on it. And to be fair, all the other artwork that we've ever released for everything else has never been a band shot. We've never done a band shot. There's always like some kind of idea in the art or something that related to the song or something like that. We'd never done a band shot as a piece of art for any of the singles or anything. So it kind of made sense that this is a collection of work and this is an album. So we'll do a band shot. And we just fell on that one and all loved it. So it was the one thing that we all looked at and went, you know what? Yeah, that's the one. But we got it by accident, man. We weren't even planning to go and shoot something.
Best way though, that isn't it? Best way because you can overthink these things.
Yeah, definitely. And then
Like,
he
like
got
like with a mix, you can just keep going forever, can't you? And
yeah,
at some point, you're just gonna say, well, just that's it.
yeah. At some point, there's a line in the sand where you go, you know what? We've got to go now. So pick one kind of thing. But like all the theme of the artwork as well. So Liam, who did that shot, was also like taking loads of other shots of not us, like. And so the reverse of the album is this really cool, like hypnotic twist of some thistles, which sounds weird to say, but it looks cool. And he sent us that along with the other stuff, and they just married up. So because they were done on the same day with the same filters and the same the same eye that shot them both. So yeah, the whole theming of the record like happened by accident, just because we took a photographer to a gig to do some live shots, and he said, "Come on, let's go do some promo stuff." So like these thistles are on the back of the vinyl, and they're also printed on the CD and printed on the vinyl, with no real particular relation to anything on it or us. It just looks, which is half the battle most of the time, I think.
Well, we're going to put a link to for people to pre-order the album, and obviously you've got this UK tour coming up as well. There'll be a link to that in the description of this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. What would you say to the people that are hovering over the link now that haven't pressed it yet? What would you say to those? What would you say to those bastards? Come on,
Go for it, man. I
go
mean,
for it! Yeah,
look it and see, man. I think like we try as best to be like an honest rock and roll band, and I think
yeah,
there's two ways you can make it in this industry. You can either be whatever the industry thinks it wants and try to change to be that, or you can just be yourself. And I know people like it. And we could never really bring ourselves to be, all right, well, we'll dress the way that apparently everybody's looking for us to dress, and we'll write songs that sound like what everybody else seems to want them to sound like. We're an honest indie rock and roll band, and if you click play, that's what you'll get, man. That's what we wanted to be, I think.
Well said, mate. Well said. Well, Scott, we appreciate your time today. It's been lovely getting to know you and what Camens are all about. We'll be shouting about it on RGM. You say night and day in May, you say 7th of May?
7th of May, night and day.
Oh,
We're in Liverpool as well, not too far from you guys. So if anybody's in Liverpool,
nice.
Liverpool on the 9th, side door in Liverpool. Like I say, the links, you get a deluxe ticket option, which means you get a CD on the night. We'll give you of the album with your ticket. It's way cheaper than just a CD on its own, and it helps us chart as well. And we need obviously all the help that we can get to get near them numbers. So yeah, come see us, man. It'll be a good night.
Nice one, mate. Well, thanks for joining us, and thanks to everybody for tuning in to another edition of this podcast, ladies and gentlemen. And thanks for staying to the end. That's all very much appreciated. Give us a subscribe if you aren't already, guys. If you're watching this, or if you're listening, just press like on Apple or Spotify, wherever you're listening to us. And thanks for joining us again, Scott, mate. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us. Cheers, pal.
All the best, mate. Thank you.